Cool. All right, so, hi everyone. Guys, good afternoon. My name is Leon, senior cognitive science major, and today I'll be talking about kind of the future of UX design. So, living in the Bay Area, I think maybe most of us in this room have heard about these like buzzwords, like, oh, what's UI design? What's UX design? It's like these really sexy words, right? But I think it's really important to kind of understand the context of it, where it came from, and where it's going to go. So, let's talk about it. So this is like a quick kind of overview of what we're talking about today. Who am I? What is UX design? What is human-centered design? A brief history of UX design, and then why UX design and human-centered design matter. So, chapter one, who am I? My name is Leon, as I mentioned. I'm part of this club on campus, so Berkeley Innovation, Bezin for it. So Chloe is in it, I think Jeannie was also a part of it a few years ago. So we're a human-centered design consultancy. So over the semester, we worked with really cool projects for a lot of different clients. I won't bore you guys with the details, but really great club. This is actually us at the IDEO headquarters. So IDEO, probably the greatest people on earth. This is us visiting the office. I think Chloe might be somewhere in that picture. And here's just a variety of the projects that we've done as part of the club. So everything from physical kind of design all the way to web and like mobile design as well. So a really cool club. So I'm part of that. I also teach the decal, the human-centered design decal. So it's a 100-student class, teach with 2 other instructors. And it's a really great time because I'm able to just kind of share my passion for human-centered design with the greater Berkeley community. So that's cool. And then lastly, over this past summer, I managed to intern at Pandora as a product design intern. And so I got really cool experiences on applying UX design to the real world, especially within like the music industry. So that's a little bit about me. But you're not here for that. Also one more slide. These are just 3 classes I'll be talking about. So product management, history of information, and bio-inspired design. I'm trying to weave these into a presentation as well. Cool. Okay, so now let's actually get into the good stuff. So what is user experience design and what is human-centered design? So I think this here is a really powerful image. I think even if you look on campus, this is so prevalent, even by Evans or really just any corner. I think as designers, we have our paramount duty is to the user, right? And our job is to make sure that we optimize the user experience. So even though we might create these really cool sidewalks, if people just want to get from point A to point B, they're going to cut corners like that, right? So I think in my 4 years at Cal, I think I've become really fascinated by this idea of how do we really tailor things. It's just not even just products or services, but just everyday life to people. So here's just a little quick definition. This is Tim Brown, one of the founders of IDEO. So IDEO is a human-centered consultancy, one of the greatest thought leaders in human-centered design. So quick definition, and the story is, at the end of the day, you're creating things for people, by people, for people. So that's a little bit. And then I believe someone else also had this exact same picture. So this is at school across the bay. We don't talk about them. But they actually do know a little bit about the human-centered design. This is actually their design process. The main thing to note though is that the design process is cyclical, right? And so even though you might begin emphasizing and doing research, the cycle repeats when you eventually test and you repeat the process. So that's a little definition of that as well. Cool. Okay, so now I kind of want to take a step back. And I think in order to really appreciate what user experience design is, we have to kind of look back in time to see where it came from, right? And I think even though we're in the Bay Area, I think we're all obsessed by this idea of technology taking over our lives, right? So I just took a quick poll. Who here watches Black Mirror?
Oh, I saw the first episode.
First episode, right?
It was really disturbing.
Yeah.
I stopped watching.
Exactly, right? So I think I might have been watching a little bit too much Black Mirror, but I'm kind of like really jaded by this idea of technology. So I just want to take a step back and really appreciate where design came from. So Henry Dreyfuss, a really great industrial designer, he created this book about 1955 called Design for People. And so in this book, he creates tons of different models of how to design people. Here you have dimensions of a woman, and we can see that it's an nitty-gritty industrial design, right? Initially, before the internet existed, things like these tables in front of us and chairs, someone had to spend time training those. And so this is one of the first kind of works on human-centered design. I think actually one of the very first documented ever was, I believe, this encyclopedia in ancient Greece, where it was talking about designing ergonomically for tools. But in the modern world, this is one of the first works. Then this guy called Don Norman, really love to meet him someday. He's a professor emeritus at UCSD. He was the one who coined the term user experience design. So he's a professor of cognitive science at UCSD, and also, I believe, one of the founders of IDEO, or he also worked at the D school as well. But basically, in his book, Design of Everyday Things, he talks about the idea that there's a psychological aspect to the design of everyday things, right? And so in order to actually move forward into, especially the digital sphere, we have to think about the psychology that goes behind digital products. So this is where I want to talk about the rest of the presentation. So moving forward to kind of where we are today. So in the 20th century, there's this idea that whenever you're creating anything, the function comes first and then the form follows, right? So we see this in things like buildings, right? So this is the Wayne Wright building. This is designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And we see that this building here has actually become like an archetype for the typical office space now. But the point with this picture is that if you're going to create a building, you can't think about the exterior of the building without thinking about the foundation first, right? So a really traditional design idea is that you first start with the function, right? So the building has 10 floors, then I'll have the bathroom here, and then thinking about the red brick outside. However, I think that in the modern day, and especially when it comes about thinking of digital products, something that Don Norman really talks about, this idea is that if something looks nice, it tends to work better, even though that's not necessarily true. So this is called the aesthetic usability effect, the idea that even though something like, well, this is a quick example, but this is another building designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. You can see that this is actually a house. It's nested within a cliffside, and there's like a waterfall kind of flowing in between the house. So the idea is that although it may not be the most physically appealing thing, the fact that it blends into nature makes it really aesthetically pleasing. So, and then also another example. This is also another huge example by Don Norman. Does anyone here know what this is? The one on the right should be a quick clue. Yeah, so it's a juicer, right? But if we were to just ignore the right picture and only look at the left picture, we have no idea what that means, right? We might think it's a spaceship, we might know, like, there's tons of different opportunities, right? But the point here is that this actually won a ton of design awards just because it looks really cool, and even though it might not perform the function of juicing very well, the fact that it looks really cool makes people want to use it, right? So this idea that, once again, I think now we really have to think about form. We're going to think about function as well. And then, but I think 2 years ago, or actually last year, I took bio-inspired design, and Professor Full really imparted this idea that as humans, we kind of see the world as these kind of sharp angles and really bulky objects. So for example, on the left here, we have a telephone pole, right? So it's pretty singular, pretty angular, right? But on the right, we have a tree. And I think that something that's in everyday design today, we see that this is kind of push towards more natural forms, right? So you see more curved lines, you see more, especially in UI designs, more like beveled edges and things like that. So to draw a comparison, I think in the future of things, we're going to see this push towards more natural forms. So this is really talking about kind of Pandora. So this was actually one of the old user interfaces. Like for example, if you look here, let's see. Yeah, so like even right here around this like image of the album, you see that it's like 90-degree angles for the album art. But then this might be really hard to notice, but even along this edge, there's actually a 5-pixel rounded edge instead of a 90-degree. So little things like that, even though you can't really notice that as a user, helps make the form seem more natural. So going back to the design process, it's really quick for the last minute I have. So. Oh, the GIF doesn't work, but this is from The Notebook. This is Ryan Gosling asking, "What do you want? What do you want?" to Rachel McAdams. Oh, and so the point of this slide, though, is that I think one of the most beautiful things about human centered design is that at the end of the day, it's just really about talking to people, right? I think in order to create really great products, it's about asking, "What do you want?" to people that you're making it for, right? Then likely, this is also from Big Hero 6. So you're going to think Baymax, and I think even after you research, it's really important to ask the same people, is this actually meeting your needs, and really conduct user testing. So just to wrap up, I'd like to show this video really quick. Let's see. Oops.
Oh, you need the sound?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is this here? Okay, cool. So just to wrap up really quick, so this was my internship over summer. Basically, we did some research about various tasks related to search in the Pandora app. And so there's this guy.
Let's add a new artist. Let's go with the Neutral Milk Hotel. We'll see what happens when a station comes up there. So yeah, I've got the Neutral Milk Hotel station. Power of thumbs. Okay, there's a lot of pop-ups on the Pandora thing, which is not something that I particularly like, but it might just be because I haven't used it for a while. It can be newer options.
Okay. So the point of that video, really quick, swap back. So end of the day, human centered design is all about meeting people's needs. In this video, he talks about how he hates pop-ups. At the very end, he mentions like, oh, it's probably because I just haven't used the app in a while. I think in life we kind of make these excuses for things that go wrong, but it's really, you never, in design, one of the core ideas I've learned is that you should never blame the user, you should always blame the product. So in this case, as designers, it's our duty to make sure that we create great products. So, cool, that's it.